eyes watching, waiting for you to stumble. They thought this would be your end. All around, faces were set in smug anticipation, savoring the spectacle. Broken is what they expected, shattered into pieces for them to sweep away. But what those eyes missed was the depth of what lay beneath. The fire that waits, untouched, just under the surface. Some things aren't meant to be tamed. Some things don't crumble. They transform. They struck where it hurts, where they thought you were vulnerable, mistaking the outward cracks for weakness. Pain meant power, but they couldn't see it. Pain is a language you know well, and you learn to make it speak in ways they could never understand. Every scar is a reminder. Every wound another line in the script that only you get to write. Pain doesn't bring you down. It lifts. It reshapes. It fuels. And where others would break, you became something else. Something forged in fire. Isolation was the next move. Stripping away allies. Stripping away comfort. Thinking it would leave you helpless. But isolation is the birthplace of the unbreakable. Alone, in the silence, that's where strength is built. It's where the noise fades, where clarity cuts through the fog. In solitude, the whispers of others fade, leaving only the steady rhythm of your own pulse. Silence isn't emptiness. It's potential waiting to be unleashed. Loss was meant to weaken, to strip you of purpose, to leave you desperate. They thought you would crumble without the things you held dear. But purpose is never lost in the shadows. The things you've given up only served to sharpen your resolve, to clarify the line between what matters and what was merely distraction. You've become lighter, more focused, a force that doesn't need anything but its own will. Then came betrayal, swift and venomous, meant to crush you under the weight of deceit. They spun lies, hoping to trap you in a web of their own design. But lies are fragile, breaking under the force of truth's shadow. Betrayal doesn't shatter. It reveals. And when the dust settled, it became clear. You were never the one who needed them. You let the lies fall around you like ash, leaving only what's real, what's untouchable. Fear was the weapon of choice, a sharp edge meant to dig deep and keep you caged. But fear is an old friend, a familiar face you know better than most. Fear is the spark, the igniter that fuels the fire, sharpening instincts and honing purpose. Fear didn't bind you. It pushed you to see clearer, to move faster, to strike harder. Fear's power is only as strong as the one who holds it, and you turned it into your own. Doubt whispered, hoping to seed cracks within, to make you falter, to make you question. But doubt doesn't hold sway over one who's mastered it. You took doubt by the throat and turned it into insight, learning to weigh every step, every choice, with calculated precision. Doubt became a scalpel, carving away the unnecessary, leaving only what mattered. Where doubt was meant to weaken, it only refined. Guilt was supposed to be the finishing blow, the heavy weight that would bend your spine. But guilt is a cage only for those who don't understand their own purpose. Guilt was left by the wayside, something discarded, something that served only as a reminder of past choices. Regret means nothing when there's a goal, a future waiting to be seized. Guilt became fuel, another lesson, another weapon. And now you stand, scarred but whole, bruised but unbroken, rising from every attempt to bring you low. Those who thought you would shatter under pressure look on, confused, unable to understand how someone could take so much and still rise. But strength doesn't come from what others give. It comes from what you create within. Each hit, each scar, each dark day, they became bricks, building something indestructible. So leave them in the darkness of their own confusion. Let them question and wonder. Let them drown in the mystery of how they failed to break what they never understood. Let them live with the unanswered question that gnaws at the edges of their minds, whispering, "What went wrong?" Because the answer lies in the one thing they missed. You weren't broken. You were made. They couldn't manipulate you, so they tried to hurt you. Control was their first strategy. The careful threading of lies, promises, and whispers meant to bind you. They tugged at every string, hoping to steer you, hoping you would dance to their tune, but something in you refused to bend. You were never a puppet, never made to wear someone else's strings. Every attempt to manipulate, every effort to corral your choices only sharpened your resolve. They couldn't own your mind, so they turned their focus to breaking your spirit. When manipulation failed, pain became their weapon. They struck from every angle, every turn a calculated move to wound. They believed that inflicting harm would bring you to your knees, but you stood tall and survived. But they misunderstood pain's purpose in your life. Pain was never an enemy. It was an ally. Pain wasn't something to fear. It was something to absorb, something to take in, to let it harden every fiber of who you are. Their attempts to hurt you only made you sharper, stronger, more dangerous. Isolation was their next tactic, the calculated removal of support, stripping away allies and resources, leaving you alone in the dark. They thought loneliness would weaken you, that solitude would break you down, make you question yourself. But in isolation, you discovered clarity, found power in the silence. Alone, without distractions, you came face to face with your own strength, an unbreakable core that they could neither touch nor tarnish. They thought isolation would cripple you. Instead, it honed you. Frustration twisted their approach, and they grew more desperate. They thought inflicting chaos, turning everything familiar into a threat, would make you retreat. But where others would crumble, you adapted, drawing from every wound, every betrayal, every lesson. Chaos wasn't something to fear. It was something to navigate, to dominate. Every strike, every attack became a lesson, each one arming you with knowledge, turning their hate into fuel. When all else failed, they tried to convince you that their lies were your reality, hoping you'd lose sight of what mattered, hoping the confusion would blind you. But lies are brittle, and in the face of your truth, they shattered. Their illusions crumbled because you refused to live by their design. They thought deception would bind you, make you question your path. But with every lie, you grew more certain, more determined, more relentless. They saw strength in you that intimidated them, a fire that couldn't be snuffed out. They tried to water it down, to reduce it, to snuff it out. But each attack only fanned the flames. You were never what they assumed, never the pawn they could control. Every challenge became another step forward, a chance to turn their attacks into your own ascent. At their final attempt, they threw everything they had, hoping the weight of it all would be enough to finish what they started. But what they didn't understand is that by trying to crush you, they only made you unbreakable. They became a part of your story, fuel for the very strength that now terrifies them. In the end, the only thing they achieved was proving that no one controls you, no one can bend you, and no one can break you.